Hello, TDF fans. My name is Ben Ferguson. I have shaggy brown hair, a little bit of a beard, and I'm a white male with a dark gray shirt.
Hi, everyone. My name is Arya Shahi. I am bald, brown-skinned, wearing a kind of a crew t-shirt, lavender blue, I would say blue, short sleeve.
Hi, I'm Melia. I have red hair that's tied back behind my head and a black t-shirt on, and I am white, male. And we are 3/7 of PigPen Theater Company.
Yeah, and we are currently curators and performers in the Little Island Storytelling Festival that's running from September 7th through the 18th, I believe. So we look forward to having all of you guys out there and coming to check out all the great shows that are happening. We're really, really excited about it. Okay. Since you love telling stories, we want to hear your origin story. How was PigPen Theater Co. born?
Go ahead.
Oh, excellent. Well, there's a stork that carries theater companies into collegiate acting programs, and we just all got dropped off in 2007 at Carnegie Mellon. No, we were all friends at school, and we all auditioned to be in the same acting program, and we got really lucky that the same seven people were that are still in the company today. We were all freshmen together, and we had this wonderful festival at school called the Playground Festival. So we have always been in our roots a festival theater company. We've played many festivals since then, but Playground was the very first one. And we all got together our freshman year and wrote a little 15-minute folk tale. It was like a ghost story, and we had a little bit of shadow puppetry, and Ryan played some guitar, and I played like a little box. Did you play music in that first one?
Not that
one. No. That's cool. And then the next year we realized we all actually had interest in being a band and all played in high school, one instrument or another, and we started incorporating more and more music into our shows starting sophomore year, and that's how it all began. That's the origin story. Just a bunch of actors trying to find a way to make their friends watch them.
How did you become a part of the inaugural cohort of artists in residence at Little Island? And did you know from the outset you'd curate a storytelling festival?
It's a long time ago now that initially we were invited into the cohort.
Yeah.
I don't exactly remember the first initial conversation we had with them, but I do remember specifically that when they said, we're thinking of starting this or building this park and having a cohort of resident artists, what are things you might be interested in doing at the island? And one of the first things we said was, we are always excited to showcase our own things, but we have sort of started a community of artists and met so many people throughout doing this over the years that we would love to be able to showcase other artists in a festival type or style way. And they said, what about a festival? And we said, yeah, great. That sounds exactly like we were talking about. So it was a sort of nice marriage of two like-minded groups saying, yeah, okay, how do we showcase artists in and around New York? And who do you want to showcase?
Yeah.
That was kind of...
Yeah, it was pretty simple, to be honest. And then the other festivals came about as well. There's a dance festival. There's it just felt like the space also was so conducive to, it's so open that a festival and introducing people randomly to new artists felt really organic and possible. So that's so far. I mean, last year was the first year, and it felt great. It felt really, really great, especially since it was the opening since the pandemic, the first time that people were able to watch stuff outside.
Yeah, we learned a lot. Last year we did it for only 1 week. It was a 1-week festival, and we had some incredible performers, and the audiences loved it. And this year we're really lucky enough to be able to do 2 weeks and invite more people in and explore even more kinds of storytelling in the festival. So that's how it all happened. There are so many exciting artists in the Storytelling Festival. Diva Diana O, musical star Kuhoo Verma, experimental theater vets, the York Neo-Futurists. How did you approach curating the event? So curating the event has like these guys said, it's been a dream of ours to do something that's in community with our other artist friends and artist inspirations for a very, very long time. I think that's one of the coolest things about curating is you get to reach out to people whose work has influenced yours and whose art has touched your life in some way, and ask them to be a part of this event. Diana O, Kuhoo, all these people, the Neo-Futurists, like Neo-Futurists were obviously a company before we came into New York, knowing the New York Neo-Futurists, and just being in a position of being able to invite a company that's been around for that long of a time, that has iconic shows, to come and be a part of our festival, to be honest, I think gives our festival legitimacy. Like they're such a I don't know, like a pillar of storytelling in this very specific style that they've developed. And I think that's something that a lot of people that we want to expand upon and really clarify for a lot of people. Like, this is not a festival in the style of PigPen. That was never our intention. We've developed an aesthetic, I guess, over the years of folk music and shadow puppetry and fairy tale driven kind of story theater, but we are inspired by a lot of artists that don't do that. So like Kuhoo Verma is a great example. Kuhoo was a part of Shayna Taub's show last year, and that's how we met Kuhoo. She did her solo in Shayna's show, and she blew us all away, and she's such a lovely person, and we've gotten to know her, and she has a solo show that she's been developing for a really long time, and it's about music and healing and energies, and it's just a really beautiful thing. So we asked her to come in and do her thing there, and it's just been a lot of that. It's been a lot of asking old friends, reaching out to new friends, and then cross-cultivating those communities and seeing, I guess the defining thing that we really want to focus on this year is how do you use the skills and the things that you are that you've nurtured throughout the years to tell a story. Like, what's your version of a narrative, right? And it doesn't need to be traditional, it doesn't need to be Eastern, doesn't need to be Western, but we just wanted to invite people that have done a lot of thinking on this and have resulted in and their thinking has resulted in a lot of different kinds of work.
And the island is also just working with the island. They're so open that we get to say all that stuff, and then they have to try to put the puzzle together. And so they're also great at guiding us towards what's possible, which is usually more than we think. So also just a shout out to them, everybody that works in Little Island that we've been able to work with at helping us find a way to make the festival that we would want to make.
Yeah, we had this idea of wanting to work with a chef for a very long time, because we always wanted to do a food storytelling event, and we just didn't know what that would mean. We found a chef that we were all really inspired by. We invited them to the table to tell us what they would want to do, and Little Island just completely took them in and is giving them support in all the ways they need. And now it's like a beautiful event with food and music and storytelling, and that was never our, we're not the masterminds of this. It's more about inviting people to the table and seeing what comes of it.
Yeah, if you can't tell, we take a pretty broad definition of the term storytelling. So really curating it is about finding artists that inspire us in sort of a multitude of ways, and seeing how they feel like they might want to fit into something called a storytelling festival.
With 7 PigPen members devising all your projects, how do you manage such a democratic creative process?
On 3. 1, 2, 3.
It's a crazy time. It's a really fun time. There's so many more people, and then there's that one thing that happens. Yeah, it's
pretty easy. It's just
pretty
like
easy.
that.
You get used to it.
It takes a long time.
The cut us off. That's the answer. That's how it works. No, it takes a long time. And
we all have siblings. We all talk about the fact that we grew up, we also grew up people played sports. We bring a lot of different variations of how we collaborate to the team, the group. I think that there's no one way. We've kind of found our way to decision making, and it's still very difficult. It takes a long time, but it's usually so much more worth it than I can't even imagine what the other way would be, because we've been doing it for long enough. But it's also awesome to have watched, to be able to work with and reach out to other artists who share a similar ethos, and it's not as specific to us as it is to really anybody that is just game. to not be the center, but be a part
Yeah.
of the whole. But yeah, it can be very difficult, but fun.
Yeah. During PigPen shows, you constantly switch characters and instruments and puppets. This is true. What are your most memorable onstage mishaps?
Plenty.
What's not a mishap? You know, that's the real question. There was a time that me and Ryan were doing a scene with a fellow PigPen member, Alex Fallberg, where we're in a boat shop in one of our shows called The Old Man, the Old Moon, and I'm playing like the clerk at the boat shop desk, and Ryan is there to rent a boat, and I call from the back. I call like the little boy employee that works for me named Mickey to come out, and Mickey is Alex Fallberg with a little puppet. It's kind of almost like a Boonraku style, like his legs are the puppet legs, and Alex comes out every day, and he's wearing this little cute little hat, and
He's holding the head with his right hand
yes,
and the body with his left hand. Is that correct?
I think
No, he's
so.
not
Yeah.
even.
No, he
holding
doesn't have the body. He has
It's
the
just
arm.
The head,
It's the arm.
head is attached to the body, and that's the only thing that's holding it up for reference.
for reference. So it's of course one of these performances, a screw goes loose or something, and the head pops right off, and the body just falls, and like the arm and the arm is like up, and Alex, God bless him, is a wonderful performer, and none of us are really great improvisers. Just for the record, that should be on the record. We are not good improvisers. So Alex's first impulse was to say, "Oi, me head!" To which point Ryan just lost it, and I looked away, and I think Ryan, like, you covered by like pretending the moment was real for some reason.
Well, the audience took. I mean, it really became like the whole
play was
it was
done.
out of control. So I believe that I turned to the side and pretended to vomit.
Yes, because that's, guys, I mean, think about it. If a little boy's head just pops
Put
off,
yourself in the situation.
I mean, you got to be in the moment. You got to react. Acting is reacting.
Yeah, so that's a mishap.
That's one of them. That's one of thousands. Yeah. Ben, do you have a favorite?
Oh gosh, I often just am horrified when something goes wrong on stage because, like we said, we're bad improvisers. So I tend not to relive them as amusing anecdotes, but mostly just in my nightmares.
They disappear.
They do.
From your memory.
They do disappear. Yeah.
How many instruments do we play as a troupe, and which ones are on our to learn list? Ooh, we play a lot of instruments. I mean, like, to name a few, I'm looking around the studio right now to see how many we have. We have guitars, accordion, keyboards, drums, banjos. I see multiple percussions things, a ukulele, a flute, a violin. I think those are sort of some of the main ones. Bells, yeah. So there are a lot of instruments at our disposal, and I wouldn't say that we necessarily play them great, but we can make noise with them.
They're all here.
We dabble.
And as far as instruments we'd like to learn, I think there's a ton. During the pandemic, at the very start of the pandemic, I picked up a trombone and I played it for a day, and that was it. I never played it again, and I still hope to learn it. But I think a brass instrument would be exciting to have in the mix.
Definitely.
Agreed.
Anyone?
What are you learning?
Alex started learning to play the cello, but
That's true.
But that's always a thing that everyone's favorite instrument is a cello. If you ask anybody, they usually say a cello.
Anyone?
Ask
Anybody on the planet.
and they'll usually say it's a cello.
Yeah, I had a bet going with Dan once. Dan is one of our primary keys players, and I remember when we were in college, I told him that if I practiced piano every day for 2 years, I could be better than him. And he looked at me and said, "Really? Really? You think that?" I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." So I bought myself a piano over the pandemic, and I started playing, and I'm not better than him. So
well, you failed to accommodate for the fact that he was also practicing for those 2 years. Now he stopped.
It's like Dan.
So,
my brain doesn't work that way. I don't
Yeah.
realize that, like, he's still working at it. He's not just like done.
You should keep at it too, dude.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Thank you. Over the past few years, you've been working on a number of musical adaptations. Oh, no, sorry. You've been working on musical adaptations of two popular novels, The Tale of Despero and Water for Elephants. Can you share any information about their respective futures? Yes, we can. We are in the know. Ben, you want to talk about Despero?
Yeah. So as far as it, being performed in its entirety, we're not entirely sure quite yet, but we're hoping to get some more of the music out there. You can find a few of the songs on YouTube and various corners of the internet if you Google it. But the hope is that we can record some of that music and send it out there so that more people can experience some of that show. And I think that's about it for now with that. And then Water for Elephants?
Water for Elephants, we have the premiere production of it happening at the Alliance Theater in Atlanta next June. Next summer. So lots of...
Yeah. I was going to say, it's been a long time. Water for Elephants has been one of those shows that we've been working on with Rick for many years. So it's a very special... I'm sure anyone that's made anything out there, you guys know, it's very special when you're like, oh my gosh, somebody's about to see it for real. So we're feeling that with Water for Elephants right now. Very excited.
PigPen has worked on so many eclectic things. If you could each pick one dream project, what would it be? Wow. That's a big question. I think we have a lot of big dreams, and sometimes too big, and we can't get anything done because we are constantly switching.
Dreaming.
Yeah, we're just you gotta wake up. You gotta stop dreaming and do the work.
I know for me, and for I think I speak for a lot of us, we'd love to be able to work on something in a bigger TV or film medium. We often have sort of tons of ideas for movies and limited series and TV shows. So that's something I know that we're interested in shifting our focus on.
Yeah, and I think that's related to the fact that we all kind of grew up inspired by a lot of those early Disney, early Pixar movies. That was when we were all kids, and we all just look up to that kind of storytelling. And actually, one year when we were on tour in California, we got to go visit Pixar, and we got to play like a little concert for them, and we had the privilege of hanging out with some of the animators for like lunch, and we all got to hang out and getting to talk to them about how they animate certain characters and where the overlap is with how we think of our puppetry and how you bring up, because what they're doing is they're bringing a lifeless object to life, right? But it's all digital, and I think we got to see how the octopus was made in Finding Dory, right? And that just blew my mind. That's around the time that we were there. So yeah, we've always been really interested in animation and puppetry and live action puppetry and how those things can overlap. But a lot of the things we're working on right now are dream projects too. It's not. I think that's for me. My dream project is just to keep going. That's my dream project. Is like, can this keep going? Because this is really fun.
Oh gosh. We've always wanted to make a show that I think we could do every year as like a kind of like yearly, like an annual thing, and bring in friends. Kind of like the festival, I guess, but like I don't know. That's something that's like percolating, but potentially some sort of specific to a time of year.
A seasonal.
Are you thinking like
holiday show,
like the Ides of March, maybe?
Yeah.
We're big into the Ides of March,
Big time.
Yeah.
Last question.
What is the best deal you ever got at the TKTS booth? Oh, the TKTS booth. Okay, this takes me back to early days. So I'm pretty sure. Oh man, I hope this. Yeah, this must have been TKTS. I used to go all the time when we had just moved to the city, and I would like to see shows, and I had no money to see shows at the retail price point. I still don't, but I fake it better. But no, I remember. I think I got tickets to go see Lend Me a Tenor, starring Tony Shalhoub, and I'm a big Tony Shalhoub fan. If that wasn't obvious from everything that I've said thus far, so thank you TKTS for giving me my first Tony Shalhoub experience.
I would say our show when we were at The Old Man and the Old Moon
Mhm.
was at TKTS, and while I didn't actually need to purchase a ticket to the show that I was in, just being able to go and see like the little marquee and see the title of our own show up there was pretty exciting. And I did, you know, I told the many tourists that were walking by to buy tickets, and maybe I convinced one person. I don't know. We'll see. They'll reach out when they watch this.
Yeah. They've been following us. Ever
Yeah.
since.
I believe my first Broadway experience was Spelling Bee, and it was TKTS. So it was seminal, just as like,
That's amazing.
yeah, and yeah, that was so amazing stuff.
It's a great thing, that booth. Iconic. Helpful.
Helpful, very.
Helpful.
Thank
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Come check out the festival. It's really, really great. All the shows in the amphitheater are phenomenal, and we're big fans of everyone doing their thing. Can't wait to see you.